Nathan Davis, Victor Monroy. This is Chatter Up. Welcome to episode 2, guys. Today we're going to be discussing now instead of discussing CBA, we're discussing while we watch the game of baseball, the players, free agency, everything about it. Let's get into it. Vic, how you been? Who are you ready to talk about? What else?
Listen, man, I'm about to talk about the big names who haven't signed yet. Yes, guys, this whole lockout has been bad for everybody, especially those who still don't have a job. And I know that a lot of these guys got great years last year. I know that these guys probably will get big paychecks when it comes down to it, but as of right now, they are jobless. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with my number five. I'm gonna do a top five free agents who are still available, and where I think they should sign and why it makes sense for them to sign there. My number five would be Freddie Freeman. We love Freddie Freeman. Nate, I know you love Freddie Freeman, right?
2010, man, came up as a rookie, got a hit against the Marlins back when they were at their old stadium and still called the Florida Marlins. He's just a great player. I mean, it is what it is.
Defense. You need defense. You need homers. You need average. Freddie Freeman has it all. And he is my number five because I don't think there's a big suspicion on where he's going to land. I think he will end up in Atlanta, and I think it makes sense. Freddie Freeman in Atlanta, it's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like bacon on a cheeseburger. It just works, man. It just works. So I think that Freddie Freeman back at the Atlanta Braves team, man, and I think it will be the same thing as Chipper Jones. I think he would be Mr. Brave. He would be Mr. Brave. Mm-hmm. But Chipper Jones is still is an Atlanta Brave for life, and I think that Freddie Freeman should be an Atlanta Brave for life. My number four free agent would be Kris Bryant. Listen, Kris Bryant, I have to admit, I am not the biggest Kris Bryant fan, but I do appreciate what he brings to the game, and it's versatility. He is a third baseman. He can play first base. He can play left field, right field, and if you need him, he can play center field as well. He's got a couple of games to his credit in center field, and I think that Kris Bryant best fits in the Giants. Listen, Giants fan, I know you guys loved Kris Bryant, and I know that you guys would love to have him back, especially now that Buster Posey has decided to retire. I think that Kris Bryant will bring that reliability behind someone who might be not be so outspoken, but he can still get the job done. So Kris Bryant back into Giants. I really don't see why not. I really can't picture him in any other place because the Giants need a guy like this again. And then my number three free agent, it is none other than Carlos Rodon. Now, who is Carlos Rodon? People forgot that Carlos Rodon threw a no-hitter last year. He threw a no-hitter last year. He dominated the league last year. He is a left-handed pitcher for the Chicago White Sox. And if Robbie Ray wouldn't have had the year he had last year, he wouldn't have won the Cy Young. I think that Carlos Rodon would have been the best left-handed pitcher in all of baseball last year. So I think Carlos Rodon really, really, really deserves a big contract. And I'll tell you where, Nene, you will never suspect where. I see him fitting the best with the Seattle Mariners. Now, Mariners fans last year got a very, very, very tough end of the season because they were one game shy. One game shy.
Pitching is the thing they needed.
And they needed the pitching. So I think Carlos Rodon going to the Mariners just fit. It gives them the ace they need. And I think that in a big field such as T-Mobile Park, which it's now called, I think that just helps both Carlos Rodon and the Mariners. And I think that it would be a fantastic fit. Number two, we're down to the last two guys. we got Nick Castellanos. Now, everybody has forgotten about Castellanos because of all these big
MVP
names
candidate.
like Trevor Story, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Freddie Freeman, Carlos Correa. And yes, those players are great, but Nick Castellanos, as Nene said, he was an MVP candidate last year. He hit over 300. He had, I think he led the league in doubles or something like that.
Yeah,
I know
something
he
like
was,
that.
I think he was top 5 in doubles, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
It will show right down here if it was a top 5 or something. But Nick Castellanos, he just gets the job done. And I see him in the Red Sox uniform. I don't know why. I'm a
Ooh.
Yankee fan, so it's
Ooh,
kind of
makes
scary
sense.
to
It makes sense.
it's kind of
Makes
scary
big
to
sense.
picture Nick Castellanos in the Red Sox because I know what that would cause, but I think it's the best fit for that player, and I
Him
think
and
that the
JD
Red Sox
Martinez,
could
3 and 4
benefit.
in that lineup.
And we pair him back up with his mentor JD Martinez. JD Martinez, if you guys don't know this, the reason why Nick Castellanos blew up the way he is right now as a hitter is because JD Martinez took him under his wing with Miguel Cabrera, and they just made magic. And now we got Nick Castellanos. So if Nick Castellanos lands with the Red Sox, don't I tell you guys, I told you. And my number one guy, yes, I might be biased. I don't understand. I don't care what you guys say, but it's my boy Carlos Correa. Now I do have to say this. I am mad at Carlos Correa. I'm mad at Carlos Correa.
Why? Tell the people why.
Man, Carlos Correa opened his mouth and said that Derek Jeter didn't deserve any of the 5 Gold Gloves he won. And my best fit for him was the New York Yankees. I think he would have excelled as a Yankee. But after saying that comment, I really can't picture him as a Yankee because I think it would just be bad for the fan base. Everybody would boo him. And I'm not saying that he can't handle the boos because he has played in the postseason. He has won in the postseason. But I don't think it's healthy for the game for the New York Yankees to have Carlos Correa. So that's it. Carlos Correa, I see him back in Houston, man. And I know it's not that fun, but I really see him back in Houston because his chemistry with Jose Altuve and with the entire organization is just really, you can't teach that. And I don't think he will have the same click, especially after this whole the whole cheating scandal. I don't think he would, and because of some other comments that he said, I really don't think that it would be a good fit for him to go anywhere else because he has already said what he said about Derek Jeter. And he just insulted the captain, the best Yankee of all time. So I'm sorry, man. I gotta keep you in Houston. I really see him excelling in Houston. Actually, I see him playing there for the next 6-7 years, maybe. So those are my top 5 guys. If you guys have anyone else if you don't like any of my takes, please just let us know in the comments. And hey, this is just my thoughts. If you guys have other thoughts, we would love to hear them.
Yeah.
What you name? What
I'm
do you
gonna,
think
I'm
of my
gonna throw.
list?
Can I throw one on your list? And
Go ahead, man.
I've heavily loved this dude, and he just popped out of nowhere in the scene in Colorado, and now he deserves to get money. He's deserved for what he's done, and that's Trevor Story.
Okay.
I think it's the Angels or the Angels
Cardinals.
was one. The Cardinals just with that chemistry with Arenado. But
I forgot about that.
I like this. What would you say?
No, I forgot about the chemistry with Arenado.
Yeah, the chemistry with Arenado, and then also you brought up a team in pre-show that we didn't even think of, the Washington Nationals. The Nationals, like that makes sense. They don't have Trey Turner. He's an LA Dodger, and they need help at that position. Yeah, they've got a young kid in Carter Kierboom, who, I mean, has been called up a few times, but is yet to make a actual ground, get his feet planted, and stay in the MLB. Now I'm going to do the top 5 guys that have signed. Here we go.
Ooh, okay.
My number 1, or actually, we'll start at number 5. My number 5. This one makes sense on all levels: age, longevity in the league, and this dude is filthy on the mound. That's Corey Kluber on the Tampa Bay Rays. Makes sense for the Rays signing a veteran pitcher like they have done in the past,
and utilized him
Ooh.
well. And
Did you-
it just makes sense all around. All around. Corey Kluber to the Tampa Bay Rays. Number 4, Starling Marte on the New York Mets. The Mets signed a bunch of dudes before the lockout.
Mhm.
As a Braves fan, the Mets now scare me, along with the Phillies with Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto, and you can say Reese Hoskins, but he fell off the earth last year. But the Mets scare me with what they brought in.
Mhm.
Number 3, Javi Baez to the Detroit Tigers. Javi Baez to the Detroit Tigers. Makes sense. Team that needs to build around, give Miggy another sure doubt first ballot Hall of Famer Miguel Cabrera a last chance to maybe get that another ring. Because don't forget,
Mhm.
he won one his rookie season with the Florida
Oh,
Marlins.
I forgot about
That's
that.
crazy.
That's right.
His rookie season, he won a world championship.
03
with
against the
Florida Marlins.
Yankees.
Yep. That was another
Forgot
one.
about
That's,
wow,
that's
he's
another
that
little
old.
story within itself. Number 2, Marcus Semien and the Texas Rangers. A dude last year who just another MVP candidate guy in the American League, played with the Blue Jays, just raked last year. Helped that lineup out tremendously. Yeah, they had some injuries in here and there, and they didn't get it quite over, but yet that was their mainstay, along with Vladdy Jr., who did win it, who was in the MVP race as well, second behind Otani. Marcus Semien was the other dude on the Blue Jays last year, but now is with the Texas Rangers. And my number 1, the man with 2 different eye colors, Max Scherzer to the New York Mets. As I said, the Mets scare the mess out of me because now you've got Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer as a 1-2 punch, along with an old school baseball manager and Buck Showalter, who already knows how to utilize those 2 guys and utilize the lineup with now Marte and a whole bunch of slew of guys, including Francisco Lindor and another guy they signed in Mark Canha. I mean,
And Pete Alonso.
that Mets team scares me. But that's my top 5 who have signed
Man,
so far.
I gotta say, I love that you did not go with the top 5 contracts. I know you do
Yeah.
have Marcus Semien and you have Max Scherzer, who are probably one of the top 2
Yeah.
annual value, right, for each player this
Scherzer's
season.
like $43 million a year
Oh, that's
on a
insane.
3-year deal.
Max Scherzer and Jacob
Insane.
deGrom,
Mhm.
back to back. That's scarier than Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander back to back.
And that was
But-
when they were like just young and like dealing. Now here's the funny stat. There was 5 guys from that Tigers rotation
Mhm.
when they were dominant, when they had Verlander, Scherzer, perfect game. Armando, you can't really put Armando Galarraga in that.
No, but they did have Anibal Sanchez
Yep.
and
Anibal Sanchez. And didn't they have what's his face? The Miami dude, the dude from Miami, not from the Marlins, but he's from Miami, lefty. Played on the Nationals too. Can't think of his name.
forgot.
But he was on there too. And dude, all those guys went on to win World Series somewhere else. That's amazing.
Yeah. Listen, man, I love that. I love that you used Corey Kluber, and I know Corey Kluber had bad year and everything, but it's not the contract; it's where he signed. He signed in
Mhm.
Tampa. He signed in Tampa. If we remember, Charlie Morton dominated in Tampa. He dominated in
did.
Tampa. He was filthy, and I think he's actually a very big reason why the Tampa Bay Rays are so good now. And it's because what they do in Tampa is that they use analytics for you to perfect your pitching form. Blake Snell won the Cy Young. The tall guy now looks like the actor.
Tall guy that looks like the actor.
Man.
On the Rays? Currently on
Yes,
the
on
Rays. Brandon Lau?
no, the
No.
pitcher. Glass now.
Glasnow, yes.
Glass now went for Pittsburgh to the Rays, and he is now one of the best fastball curveball combination pitchers. And then
Mhm.
so you really can't compare what Tampa does. Maybe Houston. That's probably the other
Yeah.
team that that really excels to making the pitcher the best pitcher that he can be. And I think that Corey Kluber can actually potentially be the Cleveland back when they were the Indians, back when he won Cy Young. I think he can be that type of pitcher again, maybe not to that caliber, but I do see him winning 15 games now that he's in Tampa because the way Tampa plays, the way they manage their bullpen, the way they use analytics, and the way that they just dominate. So I really like that signing. I really like that signing. But
Yeah.
what I'm actually surprised that you didn't have Corey Seager as your top five, and instead of having Corey Seager, you used Javi Baez. And I love the Javi Baez signing for one reason. Detroit needs swagger. Detroit needs recognition. They need someone who just wake them up. And I think that Javi Baez is that type of player. Maybe he's not the greatest shortstop right now, but what he brings to the game, which is charisma, which is glove skills, which is just his persona. His persona is
Highlight
just
reel.
exactly. He's a highlight reel, and people love Javi Baez. I know the people from Chicago. I have family in Chicago who just love Javi Baez, and right now I know my cousin's oldest child, whose name is Omar. He loves Javi Baez. That's his favorite player, and he had a Christmas list of all the things he wanted, where Javi Baez things from the for the Mets, and then he changed them for Detroit Tigers stuff because he just loves Javi Baez that much, and that's what Javi Baez can do. He can bring the fan base back to Detroit, and I think that it really helps especially if they add a couple of. I wouldn't say pitching because they added Eduardo Rodriguez, which I think is huge signing for them. But maybe if they add another outfielder or someone who is maybe who's also a very good maybe like Eddie Rosario kind of player who has enough experience to carry a team. And I think that the Detroit Tigers in the American League Central, who right now it's whoever says that the White Sox are not going to win that is crazy. But I think that they can push a little bit further up in the standing. So
Yes. And here's the thing. The Tigers aren't short on prospects coming up right now. I mean, they've got Daz Cameron, Casey Mize, I mean, and Badu came onto the scene last year just raking, and this dude is like 5'8", 5'9", and just hit moonshots. And now
he steals the way he plays the game also.
Yes.
The way he plays the game, he's an all-out player. I really like Akil Badu. And they got Spencer Turnbull. I think his last name Turnbull.
Spencer Torkelson.
No, that's Charlie. That you're thinking of another guy. Yeah, but anyways, they still got enough pitching. I think they have enough pitching for the next couple of years to develop. And once they develop, if they can have this core, I know that Miguel Cabrera doesn't have long left, but I know that maybe they can try and make a push for something great. And I think that they really did that with Javi Baez. And if they add one more piece, it doesn't have to be a Rosario. It's just it's just a guy that came to my mind, but it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. Eddie
I think
Rosario.
I think that Javi Baez will lead the league in triples.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I also love about Javi Baez too, aside, is he loves to hustle.
Yeah,
like he just hustles, and when he hustles, he's usually getting that triple back, turning that double into a triple.
Yeah, I think it was a great sign. But hey, how about this?
I mean,
what we talked about all these free agents. What about if we just what is just one underrated sign that nobody has really mentioned that much? Someone who has signed and you didn't think, and then you saw it and were like, oh my gosh, this is a great sign for this team.
Oof, that's underrated. I mean, we both said when we were looking through the list of guys who are still free agents at position wise, either signed or unsigned, catcher's like the weakest position on there. There's like no market for catchers. And second base, that was another one too, except besides Simeon
And
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
would think, here's mine. I know we like him. I love the dude because he's versatile players. Couldn't stand him last year in the NLCS. But Chris Taylor back with the Dodgers though.
Yeah.
That's huge for them.
It
Huge.
is.
Because he stepped up. He stepped up when Justin Turner went down and played third
Mhm.
base. He can also play outfield. He can also play second base. You put Chris Taylor, and he's coming to play that day.
Yeah, I think Chris Taylor. I think Chris Taylor is a key. He's going to be key for the Dodgers again, especially now that Corey Seager's out. I know they have Gavin Lux and Trey Turner who are going to play shortstop and second base, but if they want to give one of those guys, if they want to give one of those guys a day off, then I really think that that would help them. I think that having a Chris Taylor who can play all around, he's played shortstop, third base, second base, outfield. I really think that really helps. I forgot the Dodgers in a big way. And mine for me, my underrated signee would probably be John Gray. John Gray to the Blue Jays. I think it's
huge.
big. Yes, John Gray hasn't really had a great career, but he played in Colorado. Okay, so we got to take his stats. He played in Colorado, and I think that we forget that John Gray was the number 2 overall pick for the Colorado Rockies in the same draft as Chris Bryant, and we forget about that. We forget how good he was in college and his upside. I think he's still reaching that upside. And I think he has shown flashes of what he can really do. And I think that having him behind Kevin Gossman, who is now a Blue Jay, Robbie Ray, who's still a Blue Jay, Jose Berrios, who is still a Blue Jay, and now you add John Gray to that list, and you have 4 deep pitchers who can be, well, 3 of those 4 pitches. Kevin Gossman was an ace for the Giants last year. Robbie Ray was an ace for the Tigers a couple of years back, and actually the Diamondbacks a couple of years back, and Jose Berrios was the ace for the Twins last year actually. So I think that you have 3 very, very, very good top of the rotation pitchers, and then you add John Gray to that, who I think will do a very good job. And on top of that, you can bring up your youngsters. And I really think that the Blue Jays can give the Rays a run for the money. I really do think so. Yes, they lost Marcus Semien. I understand they lost Marcus Semien, but they did not lose Vladimir Guerrero, who I think, in my books, and everybody's gonna hate me for this, I think that the MVP should have been Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because the reason that everybody says, oh, Marcus Semien had a very good year, he had a very good year. I'm not taking anything away from Marcus Semien, but what Vladimir Guerrero did, he almost won the Triple Crown. He almost won the Triple Crown. And the team had more wins. They almost got to the playoffs. They really almost got to the playoffs. They were 1 win away from getting to the playoffs. And I think that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with Bo Bichette, with Lourdes Gurriel Jr., with all those 4 pitchers with George Springer, and then on top of that, you had a very good rotation. I really think that the Blue Jays really have a chance of going far this year. I see them. I see the AL East, Rays, Blue Jays, and then any other team behind. So yeah. So I really think that's a very good underrated signing that was made.
Here's a guy that that's not signed that yet has had a fantastic MLB career and he's won an MVP. He's been an MVP. He's older now. And I'm going to say he's going to go to a team, and it just makes sense again. And that's Andrew McCutchen to Tampa.
Oof. To where?
Because to Tampa.
Ooh.
Putting more talent, and you bring the fact that you bring Andrew McCutchen in to teach guys like Randy Arozarena and Wander Franco what it actually takes to go from rookie star to being an MVP caliber.
Yeah.
And not only is he just going to help besides just playing, he's going to help off on the field and off the field too, because off the field, letting the young guys just watch him. And that's going to be huge for those two guys. That's where I think Kutch is going to go is Tampa.
Yeah,
Due to
and
the
one.
fact that
No, keep going. I'm
they
sorry.
need another outfielder. They need another outfielder, and Kutch makes sense.
Yeah, and I think another underrated free agent who I think will really make a big impact in a team. It's actually I'm looking for the list. I'm sorry, I have the list right here. It's actually Andrelton Simmons.
Ooh.
Listen, he is not going to give you high average, but what you can count on is that Andrelton Simmons will play Gold Glove shortstop. Him, Francisco Lindor, and even Carlos Correa last year. They are probably the top defensive shortstops in the game right now. And I think having that in the one of the most important positions really is valuable. I think it's underrated. I think he's an underrated free agent that a lot of teams will love to have. And it doesn't have to be a World Series caliber team, which he could help. He could help that team. But say Trevor Story in Washington makes sense. But if Washington doesn't get Trevor Story, I think Andrelton Simmons in Washington to help guys like Carter Kieboom and any other prospect that they have coming up defensively will really help that team get to the very next level in development. Or maybe even teams like maybe even in Oakland, he makes sense. I think Andrelton Simmons in Oakland makes sense because he would just take that defense up even more. And I think, and then having Matt Chapman and Andrelton Simmons on the left side, grounders towards the left side of the infield, it's just done with.
Shut down.
There's no way anything's getting past. So man, I think that's probably a solid list of underrated free agents, and there are plenty more guys. If you guys have any other free agents that you'd like to see where we think they could be, please let us know in the comments. That way we'll try to chat with you. We'll try to let you guys know what we think. And if it makes sense, hey, it makes sense, man. Everybody here is trying to play general manager because this lockout, that's the best thing we can do right now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And here's another good question. What team needs a huge pickup and why?
All right. No, I am not biased. I just really think they need a huge pickup. I think that the New York Yankees, seeing what the rest of the AL East has done and seeing how stagnant they stayed with what they've done this year. They let Corey Seager go. I don't think they're going to sign Carlos Correa. They're not going to sign Trevor Story because they don't like Trevor Story that way. And thankfully, they don't like Trevor Story that way because that would be 600 strikeouts between Stanton, Judge, and Trevor Story. And if you add Gary Sanchez to that, it's probably like 800 strikeouts and just 4 hitters. So I think that the Yankees really, really need a huge pickup. It doesn't have to be signing, but if they're going to trade for somebody, I think they need to do it fast as soon as the lockout ends, because as soon as this lockout ends, the market is going to go fast. It's going to move. It's going to be burning. So I think that in the words of Antonio Brown, the business will be booming. So I really hope that the Yankees make a move because they need it. Otherwise, the Blue Jays will surpass them this year. The Boston Red Sox have a chance of being just as good as last year. And I see the Rays staying at top of the AL East. So I think that the Yankees are really in risk of falling to 4th place in the AL East. And that's saying a lot. How about you?
Now, I would say this. There's a bunch of teams you could pick from. Mine and Victor, you're going to be surprised at this. Mine's going to be, and I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, but this is going to be another team in my division. You have the Braves, who are the world champions. You know what they have. You have the New York Mets and seeing what they've signed. But a team that I also think that needs a little bit of help
and they're losing some guys, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah.
Along with the fact that right now your best players are Harper, Realmuto, and when he's healthy, Didi Gregorius.
Mhm.
Honestly, Reese Hopkins, another Ryan Howard for them. Another Ryan Howard for them.
Oh, don't do him like that.
I mean,
Don't do him like that.
it just makes sense. I mean, I remember going to a spring training game once where Ryan Howard saw 9 pitches and swung at all 9 pitches in 3 at bats. That's how bad he was at the end of his career. That's how bad he was.
That's Rhys Hoskins for
But
you.
the Phillies, seriously, in all seriousness, the Phillies need help. They need another outfielder. That's going to be their main bargaining tools, an outfielder. Yeah, Hoskins can play first or outfield, but keep him at first. Get some bats in the outfield. Castellanos would look good there too, but they also have Bryce Harper's humongous contract, which is still out there. You've also still got Eddie Rosario would be a guy that would fit there.
I like that. I like that to play left field. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. Going over back to the list of outfielders that could still sign. There's other guys that are out there. Corey Dickerson's a guy that's still out there. Adam Eaton. I mean, there's still going to be a bunch of guys that's still going to sign, but when the lockout ends. So, I mean, the Phillies, take your time, do your analytics research, do whatever you need to do, but pick up another outfielder that's going to come in, day in, day out, help Harper out there and in the lineup, and along with Realmuto in that lineup as well. So that's a team that needs it. And you've got Joe Girardi as your manager, a World Series winning manager. He's got to have something to play with in order to be successful. And agree too. Your Yankees, yes, they're a team that needs a lot of help. They have a lot of injuries all the time.
Yeah.
And
another and they just signed Aaron Boone back.
Yeah. I don't know about Booney. It's just Boone is a great baseball mind. Don't get me wrong. He's a great baseball mind. But him managing is nothing like how his dad used to do when his dad was a manager. Yeah. So,
those are the teams that we think need a push. Maybe the St. Louis Cardinals need something else, but I think the Cardinals did good last year. I think that once Arenado picked up, the Cardinals and Paul Goldschmidt picked up again. I don't see him starting just as slow this year. I see them having better years even than they did last year. So I really think that the Cardinals and the Brewers are really pretty much balanced in who's going to win that division. So unless the Cincinnati Reds don't do anything else, I really see the division finishing the exact same way. Milwaukee, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Chicago, Pittsburgh. I think that's division is set right now from the beginning, unless the St. Louis Cardinals make a big impact, maybe signing a veteran pitcher or maybe even some outfield help to help Harrison Bader in the outfield.
And we talked about this in our last episode of possibility of a universal DH, and there's still DH signings out there too. You've got the man, the myth, the legend, Nelson Cruz, Jorge Soler, which if the DH becomes permanent in all of Major League Baseball, I think Atlanta's going to have to get him back. There's no other option.
Any team can benefit except the Yankees. Yankees don't sign Jorge
Soler.
And not the Yankees. It's a lot of strikeouts as well. No more strikeouts, please.
Yes. y'all need those guys that are constant 300 hitters. That's what y'all need.
We need LeMahieu to hit 300 again. That's what we need.
Yeah, LeMahieu's he's another guy from that Rockies team, man. Take a look at it. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, like guys from that Rockies team that is just now like gone somewhere else and just blown up. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I think we've covered pretty much good ground today here on Chatter Up. Victor may be coming out with an episode, or not an episode, but a TikTok on what makes sense in free agency, which signings make sense and where. I also put out one today. You guys need to go look it up about the amount of money spent on the day before the lockout in Major League Baseball. Crazy and all that. But until next time, guys, Nathan Davis,
Victor Monroy,
Chatter Up. See ya.